Yo, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. It's another day. It's 11:38 a.m. Pacific time. It's April 8th, 2026. Hope you're having a good day. Let's begin. Risk grows for Super El Niño. In 2026, new forecast shows here's what it means for Texas. A rare Super El Nino is more likely to develop by the fall of 2026, according to a leading European weather forecast model that points to a 75% chance that tropical waters in the eastern Pacific Ocean will become much warmer than normal by October. The updated outlook from the European Center for Medium-Range Weather Forecasts marks a notable shift from earlier projections released in March, when forecasters were less certain whether El Nino would fully develop or how strong it would become. Model guidance now suggests El Nino is likely to form and could become unusually strong, a naturally occurring cyclical event marked by above average ocean temperatures in the equatorial Pacific can shift weather patterns around the world. Ocean temperatures in the central and eastern Pacific could climb 4 to 5 degrees above average, approaching levels seen in the strongest events on record. Why has the 2026 El Nino outlook shifted? Just weeks ago, the tropical Pacific was expected to transition from La Nina into a neutral phase, with limited confidence in what might follow. That transition is still underway, but a large pool of unusually warm water beneath the surface has persisted, and recent forecasts indicate heat is increasingly likely to rise and spread eastward, a key step in building El Nino. If that process continues, it would mark a clear escalation from earlier forecasts that lean toward a weaker or more uncertain outcome. How is a Super El Nino defined? El Nino's strength is measured by how much ocean temperature rise above average in a key region of the equatorial Pacific. A strong El Nino typically exists about 3 degrees above average, while a Super El Nino surpasses 4 degrees, a level reached only during a handful of years, including 1982, 83, 1997, 98, and 2015-16. Those events produced widespread global effects and in some cases changes that persisted into the following year. How could El Nino affect global weather? A stronger El Nino would extend its influence well beyond the Atlantic, shifting where heat and rainfall are concentrated globally. As the Pacific warms, some regions tend to turn hotter and drier, including parts of Central America, Australia, and Southeast Asia, while others, such as portions of South America, can increase rainfall and flood risk. The pattern also generally favors more tropical cyclone activity in the Pacific while suppressing storm development in the Atlantic. Events of this magnitude originating in the world's largest ocean can also contribute to higher global temperatures as heat stored in the ocean is released into the atmosphere. How could El Nino affect hurricane season? For Texas, one of the most immediate effects could become evident during the Atlantic hurricane season, which begins June 1st. El Nino tends to increase upper level winds across the Atlantic, creating wind shear that disrupts developing storms that often lead to fewer hurricanes overall. During strong El Nino events, hurricanes have rarely threatened the Texas Gulf Coast. Since 1850, only one storm, Hurricane Audrey, in 1957 came close, making landfall in southwest Louisiana during a moderate El Nino. If the Pacific warming intensifies before or during the peak of hurricane season, from August through October, it could significantly suppress storm activity across the Atlantic basin. Timing, however, will be critical. If El Nino develops later in the year, its influence on the 2026 hurricane season may be more limited. What could El Nino mean for Texas weather? For Texas, the most consistent signal tied to El Nino comes in winter. Historically, strong El Nino years tend to bring wetter weather across much of the state as storm systems track more frequently across the southern United States that increase the risk of heavier rainfall and localized flooding even though temperatures vary from year to year. Summer, however, is a different story. The hottest summers in Texas don't neatly track with El Niño or La Niña. The warmest summers are spread across all phases with no clear dominant pattern. Some of the most extreme heat, including 2011 and 2022, occurred during La Niña when dry weather and fewer clouds allowed temperatures to spike. Even in El Niño years, the hottest stretches in Texas often occur during transition periods when the Pacific pattern is still developing or fading and has less influence locally. Instead, summer heat in Texas is more closely tied to persistent high atmospheric pressure, dry soils, and especially warm overnight temperatures which prevent the state from cooling off. Uncertainty in the 2026 El Niño forecast. Despite the stronger signal in recent model guidance, forecasters caution that uncertainty remains, particularly in spring, when predictions of Pacific conditions are less reliable. The latest outlook from NOAA Climate Prediction Center still shows a more gradual evolution, with about 60% with a 60% chance that El Niño develops between June and August and persists through the end of the year. That difference, along with the spread in model ensemble forecast, underscores the uncertainty in early season outlooks. While some models point toward a stronger outcome, others still show a more moderate path. It may take several more months before it becomes clear whether the Pacific is headed toward a strong El Niño or one of the most powerful versions of the pattern. Again, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Comment down below, let me know what you think. Follow me on Instagram, the Studio 11. Follow me on X, the Studio 2020. I like to say Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you on the next one.